How a rebel genius mind can turn you into a business billionaire. The hidden secret why thinking like a rebel genius makes you unstoppable. When Elon Musk said he'd send cars to space, Wall Street called him delusional. When Jeff Bezos bet everything on selling books online, investors laughed him out of boardrooms. When Steve Jobs claimed he'd put a computer in everyone's pocket, tech experts said it was impossible. What did they all have in common? The balls to think like mavericks when the entire world was screaming they were wrong. When you picture a business genius, you probably imagine someone buttoned up, calculated, making decisions based purely on spreadsheets and cold hard data. But here's the mind-blowing truth. The world's wealthiest entrepreneurs don't follow conventional logic. They operate with a completely different mindset, a way of thinking that society labels as unconventional, but is actually the secret weapon behind extraordinary success. Society programs us from day one to follow the rules, play it safe, make conservative decisions, do what everyone else is doing, analyze every risk before moving. But here's the brutal reality check. The market doesn't give a damn about those rules. The market is chaotic, unpredictable, emotional. It's a battlefield where excessive rationality leaves you paralyzed while maverick visionaries conquer entire territories. Think about the historic moments that created fortunes. The internet was just a fad. Social media was a waste of time. Cryptocurrency was a Ponzi scheme. Electric cars were impossible to scale. In every single case, those who followed conventional wisdom missed out on trillion-dollar opportunities. Those who thought like mavericks built empires. The maverick mind isn't about being irrational, it's about having superior rationality that transcends the limited thinking of the masses. It's about seeing opportunities where others see problems. It's about having the courage to bet on visions that seem impossible to conventional minds. It's about understanding that true business intelligence doesn't come from following ready-made formulas, but from creating your own playbook. The power of this mindset lies in strategic unpredictability. While your competitors follow outdated playbooks, you're creating moves they can't even comprehend. While they're analyzing yesterday's data, you're building tomorrow's reality. That's the difference between being another player in the market and being the creator of entire markets. The most fascinating trait of maverick visionaries is their ability to transform skepticism into rocket fuel. Every no they receive, every criticism, every person who says it's impossible becomes pure energy to prove they're right. They understand that market resistance isn't a sign to quit, but an indicator they're on the right path to something revolutionary. The maverick mindset also gives you a devastating psychological advantage. You stop seeking external validation. While most entrepreneurs waste energy trying to convince everyone their ideas are good, the maverick visionary simply executes. They don't need validation, they create validation through results that are impossible to ignore. This mental framework rewires your entire approach to risk. Instead of seeing potential failure as a threat, you see it as tuition for your MBA in real-world business. Every setback becomes data. Every obstacle becomes a stepping stone. You develop an almost supernatural ability to find opportunity in chaos. The maverick's secret weapon is timing. They don't wait for market confirmation before acting. They don't need others to succeed first so they can copy the strategy. They understand that fortune favors the bold who act before confirmations arrive. By the time the crowd catches on, mavericks have already moved to the next frontier. Here's your first power move. Over the next 48 hours, identify one business opportunity that everyone around you considers too risky or unrealistic. Don't invest yet, just notice how your mind reacts to possibilities that break conventional thinking. Feel the difference between thinking like the masses and thinking like a maverick. Drop a comment below with what opportunity you spotted. The forbidden strategy: how chaos becomes your devastating weapon. While you were binge-watching Netflix during the pandemic, some entrepreneurs were building 8-figure fortunes, selling masks, hand sanitizer, and launching digital empires. The difference wasn't luck, it was the ability to transform global chaos into billion-dollar opportunity. They saw gold mines where others saw panic. Most people have a toxic relationship with uncertainty. They create detailed plans, establish rigid timelines, and have complete meltdowns when something goes off script. They spend months planning, years preparing, and decades waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. Meanwhile, maverick visionaries are surfing the chaos and turning instability into exponential profits. Inverse logic works like this. When everyone's running away from a situation, that's exactly when you should sprint toward it. When the market's in panic mode, that's when the biggest opportunities in history are being born. When everyone's selling, it's time to buy. When everyone says it's impossible, that's when you know you've found an untouched blue ocean. Chaos isn't your enemy, it's your innovation laboratory. Every economic crisis, every disruptive technological shift, every moment of social instability creates massive gaps in the marketplace. These gaps are virgin territories waiting to be conquered by those brave enough to act, while others are paralyzed by fear. Think about a pro surfer facing giant waves. They don't fight against nature's force, they use it as propulsion. The bigger and more dangerous the wave, the greater the adrenaline, and the bigger the payoff. Maverick visionaries have the same relationship with market turbulence. They don't try to control the uncontrollable, they learn to dance with chaos and transform it into strategic momentum. The psychological advantage of this approach is devastating. You become mentally unshakable. While your competitors are having anxiety attacks at every market shift, you're celebrating each new opportunity that emerges. You develop emotional resilience that makes you practically invincible, because nothing can knock you down when you see obstacles as launchpads. Another fascinating characteristic of inverse logic is how it positions you strategically. When everyone's going right, you go left and find a completely open field. No competition, no saturation, just pure opportunity waiting to be monetized by someone with the vision to see what nobody else could spot. Inverse logic also reveals a brutal truth about timing. Most people wait for market confirmation before acting. They want to see others succeeding first, then copy the strategy. But by the time they arrive, the opportunity has been drained dry by the pioneers. The maverick visionary understands that you must act before the confirmations arrive. Mastering inverse logic transforms you into a detector of disguised opportunities. You start seeing patterns that are invisible to conventional minds. You develop a sixth sense for identifying breakthrough moments before they become obvious to the masses. It's like having a time machine that lets you act in the present with information from the future. The beauty of inverse logic is that it creates compound advantages. Every contrarian bet that pays off builds your confidence and credibility. Every successful pivot during chaos enhances your reputation as someone who can navigate uncertainty. You become the person others turn to when traditional strategies fail. This mindset also eliminates the emotional baggage that destroys most entrepreneurs. You're not attached to how things should work, you're focused on how they actually work. You don't waste mental energy being frustrated by market irrationality because you expect irrationality. You use it as fuel. Your mission is to identify one area of the market that's currently experiencing turbulence or crisis. Could be an industry being criticized, a technology being questioned, or a trend generating controversy. Study this area for 15 minutes and look for opportunities others are ignoring due to fear or prejudice. Share your discovery in the comments below. The Millionaire Rule: Why Fast Failures Make You More Powerful Than Perfect Planning. Mark Zuckerberg launched Facebook as a broken college project that barely worked. Google started as a flawed algorithm running on homemade servers. Uber began as a basic app that could barely connect drivers with riders. Every one of these billionaires had something in common. They chose to be imperfect in motion rather than perfect and stationary. In the world of maverick visionaries, perfection is the curse that kills more dreams than any economic crisis. It's the silent poison that paralyzes brilliant minds and transforms potential billionaires into eternal planners who never leave the starting line. The devastating truth is that while you're polishing insignificant details, your competitors are dominating markets with 70 ready solutions that evolve at light speed. The law of strategic imperfection works like this. It's better to have a working product with flaws than a perfect idea that exists only in your head. The market is the most honest laboratory in the world. It gives you real feedback, not theoretical. Every mistake you make while executing is valuable intelligence that brings you closer to the ideal solution. Every failure is a GPS recalibrating your route to success. Think about the difference between a theoretical scientist and a practical inventor. The theorist can spend decades creating perfect formulas on paper, but the inventor gets their hands dirty, tests, fails, adjusts, and creates solutions that change the world. The greatest disruptors in history were practical inventors disguised as entrepreneurs. They understood that imperfect execution always beats perfect planning. The competitive advantage of imperfection that it gets you to market before all the perfectionists. While they're doing endless research and validating every comma in their business plans, you're already collecting real data from real customers. You're iterating, improving, evolving. When they finally launch, you're already 3 generations ahead. The most expensive mistake entrepreneurs make is trying to predict all variables before acting. They want to eliminate all risks, anticipate all possibilities, create foolproof plans. But the market is a living organism that constantly changes. Your most elaborate predictions become obsolete within weeks. The only way to truly understand the market is to be inside it, responding in real time. The strategic imperfection mindset also develops a crucial skill: the ability to pivot quickly. When you're not emotionally invested in the perfection of your original plan, you can change direction without psychological trauma. You can abandon strategies that don't work and embrace opportunities that weren't on the initial radar. There's a brutal difference between failing through inaction and failing through action. Those who fail through inaction never learn anything, they just waste time and opportunities. Those who fail through action accumulate experience, develop market instincts, and build emotional resilience. Every failure in motion is actually an investment in your entrepreneurial education. Strategic imperfection forces you to focus on the essential. When you have limited resources and need to deliver quickly, you automatically eliminate everything superfluous. You develop laser focus on the functionalities that truly matter to the customer. It's a natural filter that prevents you from creating overloaded products nobody wants. The psychological liberation of embracing imperfection is intoxicating. You stop being paralyzed by the fear of making mistakes because mistakes become your teacher. You stop procrastinating on launches because you know version 1.0 is just the beginning of your evolution. You develop an addiction to action that makes you unstoppable. Imperfection also creates unexpected innovation. When you can't afford the perfect solution, you're forced to find creative alternatives that often turn out to be superior. Some of the most revolutionary breakthroughs in history came from entrepreneurs who couldn't afford to do things the right way and had to invent better ways. Pick a business idea you've been planning or studying for more than 3 months. Today, create a super simplified version of this idea and test it with at least 5 real people. Could be a paper prototype, a social media post, or a direct conversation. The key is to move from planning to execution. Comment below about your experience. Absolute domination: how your new mindset transforms you into the architect of your own empire. There's a moment in every maverick visionary's journey when something clicks permanently. When you stop reacting to the world and start creating it. When you stop being a player following other people's rules and become the creator of the game's rules. That moment has arrived for you right now. If you've made it this far, your mind has undergone an irreversible metamorphosis. You no longer think like the masses. You no longer act like a follower. You no longer make decisions based on fear of what others will think. You've developed the rarest and most powerful mindset that exists in the business world: the ability to be absolutely unpredictable and strategically lethal at the same time. The fusion of all these abilities, maverick thinking, inverse logic, and imperfect execution, creates a devastating psychological phenomenon. You become mentally unbreakable. There's no longer any situation that can paralyze you, because you've developed the ability to transform any scenario into opportunity. Turbulence becomes fuel. Criticism becomes motivation. Obstacles become launch pads. The power of this transformation goes far beyond financial results. You develop a magnetic presence that attracts opportunities, people, and resources. Like a magnet, Other entrepreneurs start seeking you out to understand how you can see possibilities where they see only problems. Investors become curious about your ability to transform impossible ideas into profitable realities. Your new mindset creates an irresistible domino effect. The more you act like a maverick visionary, the more the universe conspires to validate this identity. Unique opportunities start appearing. Key people cross your path. Perfect timing becomes your personal signature. It's not coincidence, it's mental magnetism in action. The most fascinating characteristic of this evolution is how you become immune to external negativity. Critics become irrelevant. Pessimists become invisible. You develop psychological armor that filters only information useful to your mission. Everything else becomes background noise that can no longer affect you. Now, you understand why eccentric billionaires seem to live in a parallel reality. They're not different from you, they simply mastered the same mental tools you just developed. The difference is, they applied these tools for longer and with more intensity. You're just beginning your journey of domination. The next level of your evolution involves creating systems to keep this mindset operating on autopilot. You need daily rituals that reinforce your maverick identity. You need to surround yourself with influences that nurture your unconventional vision. You need to create an environment that constantly challenges you to think bigger and act more courageously. Your responsibility now is to use this power wisely. You have access to a way of thinking that can generate extraordinary wealth and transformational impact. You can create solutions to problems nobody else can solve. You can build companies that don't just generate profit, but improve the reality of millions of people. The world is full of opportunities waiting for minds like yours, minds that can see beyond the obvious, act beyond the safe, and create beyond the possible. Every great transformation in human history started with someone who thought differently when everyone else thought the same. Now, it's your turn to be that someone. This isn't just about business success, it's about becoming the architect of your own reality. You now have the mental tools to design a life that most people can only dream about. The question isn't whether you can succeed, but how big you're willing to dream and how courageously you're willing to act. The maverick's path isn't for everyone. It requires courage to stand alone when necessary, wisdom to see what others miss, and resilience to keep going when others quit. But for those who master it, the rewards are beyond imagination. You don't just build businesses, you build legacies. Your transformation is complete, but your journey is just beginning. Create your maverick visionary protocol right now. Every day, for 10 minutes, review an important decision you need to make and ask yourself, how would a maverick visionary approach this? Question your assumptions, challenge your limitations, and always choose the path that scares and excites you simultaneously. Comment Maverick if you're ready to operate at this new level of mental power. And if this content revolutionized your thinking, share it with someone who needs this transformation.